Good morning, children. I am Mrs. Nahijaveria, taking Physical Science for class 10th. We are into the fifth session of Unit 11, Principles of Metallurgy. Corrosion. What is corrosion? You all would have seen in your daily life, if you have metallic gates, iron gates and all, they get rusted. Okay, so corrosion is the deterioration of a metal as a result of chemical reaction between the metal and the surrounding environment. And air and water are very essential for corrosion, without which corrosion cannot take place. For example, rusting of iron and green coating on copper. You see in the slide, in the picture, the iron nails having reddish brown coating on them. This is nothing but your corrosion. You call it also rusting. This is due to the formation of iron oxide. On the right, you see a copper tube on which you see a green coating, which is possible when the copper metal is exposed to both air and water. Okay, so these are some of the examples of corrosion. Let us investigate the conditions under which iron rusts. So, for this we are taking three test tubes. Test tube A, test tube B and test tube C. Mark them as A, B and C. Take iron nails of same size, clean them up, dry them up properly, and place three nails, or you can place two or one also according to your convenience. Place them in all the three test tubes. Okay, in the first test tube, we are going to add water such that the nails are half exposed to air. They are half dipped in water and the remaining part is being exposed to air. Cork it. In the second test tube, pour boiled water, boiled distilled water. We are boiling it so that we are removing any dissolved air in it. Then we are pouring a layer of a layer of oil above the water, which prevents the air in the test tube from entering into the water and getting dissolved. Okay, children, that is, you are cutting off the supply of air for these nails which are immersed in water. That is, the nails in this test tube are exposed only to water, whereas the nails in the first test tube are exposed to both air and water. In the third test tube, we are adding anhydrous calcium chloride. This anhydrous calcium chloride is a drying agent. That is, it tries to absorb moisture present in the test tube. That is, we are providing only dry air for these nails. These are not exposed to water at all. Even if at all any moisture is there in this air, we are trying to remove it by using anhydrous calcium chloride. So we are corking all these test tubes and leave them like that for about a week or so. Okay. After a week or so, when you observe it, we see that the nails are rusted only in the test tube A, which shows only in test tube A, whereas the nails in test tube B and test tube C do not get rusted. Why? Because the nails in A are exposed both to air and water, whereas test tube B and C, the nails are not exposed to both the conditions. That is, in test tube B, the nails are exposed only to water, not to air, and in test tube C, they are exposed only to air and not to water. Okay, so this activity proves us that iron rests only in the presence of air and moisture. Okay, children. Now coming to the chemistry of corrosion, what actually is happening here? The chemistry of corrosion is quite complex, but it may be considered essentially as an electrochemical phenomenon. And the reactions occurring during corrosion are as follows. At anode, iron is getting reduced to iron ions and 4 electrons are released in the process. And at cathode, oxygen reacts with 4 hydrogen ions and 4 electrons and forms 2 molecules of water. And the overall reaction we can write as 2Fe plus O2 plus 4H plus hydrogen ions gives rise to 2 ferrous ions Fe2 plus 2 molecules of water. The ferrous ions are further oxidized by atmospheric oxygen to ferric ions, which come out as rust in the form of hydrated ferric oxide. Okay, children, this is Fe2O3. Hydrated ferric oxide is Fe2O3, which is the rust. How this corrosion can be prevented? There are various ways in which corrosion can be prevented. First one, covering the surface of the metal with paint or by some chemicals like bisphenol, which prevent the surface of metallic object to come in contact with atmosphere. That is, you're painting it. Second one, covering the surface of a metal by other metals like tin or zinc that are inert or react themselves with atmosphere to save the metal. That is, you're doing electroplating. If the electroplating is done with zinc, you all know very well, it is known as galvanization. An electrochemical method in which a sacrificial electrode of another metal like magnesium and zinc etc. corrodes itself to save the metal. That is, another metal like magnesium and zinc are used so that it becomes the sacrificial electrode. And the last one, alloying is also a method of improving the properties of a metal. You know, alloy is a homogeneous mixture of two or more metals. Pure gold, also known as 24 karat gold, is very soft, but it is not suitable for making jewelry. It is generally alloyed with either silver or copper to make it hard. And in India, you all might be knowing 22 karat gold is generally used for making ornaments. That means, what does 22 karat gold means? 22 karat gold means that 22 parts of pure gold is alloyed with 2 parts of either silver or copper. Coming to the important processes used in metallurgy. Smelting. Smelting is a pyrochemical process in which the ore is mixed with flux and fuel and strongly heated. The heat is so strong that the ore is reduced to even metal, as in the case of iron, and the metal is obtained in molten state. During smelting, the impurities in the ore react with flux to form slag, which is removed. For hematite ore, I hope you all remember what is hematite. Hematite is Fe2O3 iron oxide, Fe2O3. For hematite ore, coke is nothing but carbon. Carbon is used as fuel, and limestone, which is CaCO3 calcium carbonate, is used as flux. The smelting is carried out in a specially built furnace known as blast furnace. Now you see in the figure, this is the diagram of a blast furnace, wherein the ore is taken in, and at different temperatures you get the different products. Okay, and molten iron, you see, molten iron is taken out from this section. Okay, and the ore, powdered ore, is put into this furnace in the top. Okay, so at different temperatures it is being reduced, and heat absorption zone is this, fusion zone is this, and the combustion zone is here. Okay, and molten slag is brought out from this particular outlet. Okay, children, and the reactions which are taking place inside the furnace, blast furnace, are 2 carbon plus O2 gives rise to 2 molecules of carbon monoxide. And Fe2O3, the hematite ore, the Fe2O3 reacts with this carbon monoxide to give iron and carbon dioxide. The calcium carbonate, which is used as flux, undergoes decomposition to give calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. And this calcium oxide reacts with silicon dioxide to give calcium silicate, CaSO3, which comes out as slag. Okay, children, the molten slag which is coming out is calcium silicate. What are roasting and calcination? Roasting is also a pyrochemical process in which the ore is heated in the presence of oxygen or air below its melting point. The products obtained in the process are also in solid state, and generally a reverberatory furnace is used for roasting. For example, zinc sulfide reacts with oxygen to give zinc oxide and sulfur dioxide. 2ZnS plus 3O2 gives rise to 2ZnO plus 2SO2. Now calcination. Calcination is a pyrochemical process in which the ore is heated in the absence of air. See the difference, children. Roasting is in the presence of oxygen, whereas calcination is absence of oxygen or air. The ore generally gets decomposed in the process. MgCO3, magnesium carbonate, on heating gives rise to magnesium oxide and carbon dioxide. Similarly, calcium carbonate on decomposition gives calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. Both these processes are taking place in the absence of oxygen. Look into the slide. You can see a reverberatory furnace. But before your reverberatory furnace, what is a furnace? Furnace is one which is used to carry out pyrochemical processes in metallurgy. And the three important parts of a furnace are hearth, chimney, and firebox. Okay, so hearth is a place where inside the furnace where the ore is kept for heating purpose, and chimney, as you all know, is the outlet through which the waste gases go out, and firebox is the part of the furnace where the fuel is kept for burning. Okay, and reverberatory furnace has both firebox and hearth separated, but the vapors obtained due to the burning of the fuel touch the ore in the hearth and heat it. Okay, children. And in furnaces like retort furnaces, there is no direct contact between the firebox and the hearth, and even the flames do not touch the ore. But in reverberatory furnace, the flames definitely touch each other. Okay, the firebox and hearth are separated, but the vapors obtained due to the burning of the fuel touch the ore in the hearth and heat it. Okay, children. Now coming to the assignment, what is corrosion? First question, how can you prevent it? Second, write the reactions occurring in blast furnace. Third question, define calcination and roasting. And the fourth question, draw the diagram of reverberatory furnace and label it. Thank you.